I'd like to talk about this video, Why Apple Isn't Doomed by Apple Explained on December 15th, 2018. It's a pretty interesting use case. So I don't think Apple is doing well, even though they are not going to be doomed. They're going to survive because they're a large company and they have a lot of technology in the works. However, they're not the same company that it once used to be. So first case that Apple Explained talked about was the unit sales. I think this is quite troubling. So it signifies that Apple is trying to use prices to increase revenue. So they're not the kind of company that's trying to offer the best experience to the most amount of users possible. Um, so there's a phrase that you sing with the masses, you eat with the elites. And if you sing with the elites, you eat with the masses. And clearly that's what Apple is doing. They're trying to sing with the elites by charging high prices and to try to get as much revenue as possible. And that's why their stock is going down. So, and I think that makes sense. And a lot of times that when stocks are going down, it's a buildup of mistakes over and over again, and then eventually, when it happens very quickly. So in this video, what happens is, so the comment that they make that is, if the stock is going down, that just means that uh, it's now is a good time to buy Apple stocks. I think that argument only works if you're a company that have really good product and you actually have potential to move up. For example, like Tesla is one of those companies that if the prices goes down, then it's a deal to buy it. But I don't think that's the case for Apple because I don't see them making any innovative products in the future. So let's talk about their announcement in October, which the new product, which is the MacBook Air. Uh, you know that the MacBook Air is a mediocre product at best. You know, at Steve Jobs' times, that would have never happened. The iPad Pro was an amazing hardware, but hardware is just a wrapper for the software. That's according to Steve Jobs. And iPad Pro just has terrible software. It's not a laptop replacement. And clearly, this demonstrates that Tim Cook does not understand the product. Um, and the Mac Mini is just like hashing old designs. I've never seen Apple hashing out old designs in Steve Jobs' days. But nowadays, I just see that happening over and over again with Apple hashing old designs and trying to make money out of really old 3-year-old designs. I think it's just ridiculous. So, no, I don't think buying Apple at a lower price is a good deal. And then the fourth point that Apple Explained and talked about was like how if you look at iOS users compared to Android users, you see that they remained about the same in 2015. So that must mean iOS is doing well, right? Well, no, that's not how I see it. You know, iOS had so much potential to become the PC of smartphones. I think that's what Steve Jobs' original intention is. When he released the iPod, he tried to make the iPod cheaper and cheaper so that everyone can use it. And that's what happened with the iPod Nano. I see. When I was in high school, so many kids used iPod Nano because it was cheap and affordable. But that was supposed to happen with iOS, but Steve Jobs is dead. And to this day, iOS remained the same. So they did not dominate any more market shares. And then the fourth point, or I don't know how many points, that I talk about was, well, you know, because Steve Jobs is dead, so the company is bound to die. It's not necessarily true because, you know, Steve Jobs, he has built a really great team. And I think that's why even after Steve Jobs died in 2011, Apple was able to persist the same level of quality because they have a really good team. But with prolonged length of time, you are starting to see this lack of vision. You can see that the team no longer has a leader that sort of sees where the future is going, and they have sort of planning. So right now, like they're so reactive to everything they built. So the definition of a really good marketing is um, is if you remove the brand, the consumer can still tell the brand of that company. So if you sit in a car and I don't tell you what brand the car is, the consumer knows exactly what that car is, then the brand shines. But with everything that Apple is doing right now, I don't see that. So if you look at this argument, so like Apple's entering the subscription business. So how is Apple Music better than, I don't know, Google Music or Spotify or any of them? Like I don't see them really differentiating themselves in these new areas that they're entering. How is Apple video streaming better than any other video streaming? You know, what is the use cases for AR glasses, and how is Apple going to make a self-driving car that's going to be different than Tesla's, right? So I don't see Apple really differentiating themselves in any of these areas. So the future roadmap is not clear. It's not clear where Apple should be expanding, right? I personally think the Apple Watch is a pretty good product, but it just lacks so much vision, like it just seems like they're so afraid that the Apple Watch is going to cannibalize iPhone sales, and they're just not making that a standalone product. So it just didn't seem like Apple knows what they're talking about, and it didn't seem like that this guy has any idea about what a good product is, nor does he have any idea about building a really great product and sharing it with the rest of the world and let everybody um, enjoy a really good product. So I don't think Tim Cook understands mass adoption in the same way that Steve Jobs and Elon Musk understands it. And that's why I don't think the company is going to do well anytime in the future. They're not going to die, but they're going to be a niche company. So that's just my 2 cents, and I will be covering more of these kind of videos in the future because I don't think this company is doing well.